Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we are going to talk about an unusual encounter in a Barnes and Noble near the Dungeons and Dragons section. All right, so I was traveling recently, and I love to travel because I'm an adventurer at heart, right? That's why I play Dungeons and Dragons. I love adventure, right? However, I don't know about you, but sometimes traveling can unsettle me, right? It's a long journey. You're hope, excuse me, you're hoping everything goes well, right? And so I was traveling alone, right? And it was a long journey, and I had some extra time, and I came across the Barnes and Noble. So I mean, it was like, oh, I need to. I had reached, sometimes I'm excited when I travel, but sometimes I feel trepidation, right? And at the moment, I was feeling trepidation. Nothing calms me more, I think, than books. I love books. I love to be around books, and Barnes and Noble's got a lot of them, right? So I went to Barnes and Noble, right? And I went to the Dungeons and Dragons section, and I looked at all the books on the shelf, and I had read every single Dungeons and Dragons book that they had on the shelf, right? So I immediately picked up 4 other books, right? I picked up The Expanse, and I picked up the DC Book of Lists, DC Comics. I picked up the DC book, a guide to the DC multiverse, and I picked up the Batman guide to the Batman multiverse, right? And then I found a nice corner, and they had lots of seats, and so I sat down, and I was in this corner. It was kind of out of the way, right? And just based on the structure of their area, I was near the romance books, right? That's where the chair was, right? And I was just in a corner back, and and so this woman comes over, and she was about 5 years younger than me, 5 years older than me, and I'm there reading, right? And she's standing and looking at the romance books, right? So I keep reading, and then the woman turns and she says, "Oh, what are you reading?" Right? And I said, "Oh, I'm reading about Batman," right? So I hold up the book, right? Because I know people who do this, like, talk to other people, and I generally don't do this. I don't, like, if I don't know a person, I'm not gonna just talk to them, right? But this woman, and no harm, no foul for her, just make a conversation or whatever. But there did come a harm and foul soon, right? So I say Batman, and she says, "Oh, come on." Like, wait, why do you like? And so, I immediately I didn't spend another second on her. I looked down at my book, right? And I didn't respond, right? But I realized in that moment, it was a Dungeons and Dragons moment, right? And here's why. So this woman was flabbergasted and frustrated with me for reading about Batman, right? And she was kind of like, "Oh, you should be reading something of more stature, more weight," right? And I think she was like, I think I feel she definitely was. She judged me, right? Like, she verbally judged me and was very dismissive of my reading choice, right? And I got the sense that what she was saying is like, "You're a man, you should be reading like a car manual on how to fix a car." She was frustrated that I was spending time learning about a fictional world, right? Which I found, that now. Here's the now. At first, I was slightly tempted to take what she was saying seriously, right? But here's why. But I don't think I don't need to follow her advice, right? I don't need to be changed by her judgment. And I could judge her, and I do. So here's the issue, right? One of us is right and one of us is wrong. She's saying, right, and I can project onto her whatever I want, right? Because she came and judged me, right? So I can. So this is my opinion of what she meant, right? And by interrupting my day and interrupting my reading, I get to project whatever I wish on this woman, right? Like, that's my right, really. Like, so at this point, right, I think what she was saying is you should be engaged in the tangible world, right? And so I hear her judgment, and I say, "You're wrong, lady." And I'll say this too, I'm not going to say it to her. And the reason why is I don't know her life, right? Like, and the reality is I don't think she has any ability to understand what I'm about to say. She doesn't have any capacity to understand what I'm about to say, right? And the reason why, she's a muggle. You're a wizard, Harry. If you're on this channel listening to me, you are a wizard. Get your canutes. right? You are not in the same world these people live in, right? They live in a tangible world where they still believe the tangible matters more than the intangible, which, in my opinion, at this point, is a ludicrous, outrageously ludicrous opinion. An outrageously ludicrous opinion. Let me explain this. All right, I've been going to my church for about 10 years, right? Because of the Great Pandemic, we get 90 to 110 people who show up on a Sunday, right? I've been in that church for 10 years. I'm in that pew every week, right? If you asked me to name as many people as I could in the church, I would stop at 30 or 40. I'd be surprised if I could name 40 people in the church, right? But if you asked me to list people in the DC universe, when I hit 100, I'd just be hitting my stride. I could probably easily list the names of 200 people, right? I could probably list more identities of Batman from multiverses than I could of the people in my church, right? So for me, what is the IRL world, right? The church where I can't even remember half the people's names, or DC where I can't forget these characters' names, right? Where's the IRL world, right? And this woman is like, you're wasting your time, right? You're wasting your time in a, like learning things that aren't real. But the reality is, increasingly, our world is virtual, right? Our friends may be AIs now, right? The most honorable, most kind and tolerant people today are championing AIs. They're not spending time championing other human beings, right? Our world is changing. Like, if I am holding an American gold eagle in one hand, right, it's worth $2,700, right? 1 ounce of American gold, right, in the most portable, quickly sellable format in the whole world. Somebody comes up and says, I'll trade you a single Bitcoin, right? What are you going to keep? The real American eagle in your one hand that's worth $2,700? Or the Bitcoin's worth $62,000, right? She's wrong. The tangible world is junk. Leave it to the robots to complete the tasks, right? The tangible world and tangible tasks are garbage, rote things done by robots increasingly. The value in our world is now virtual. It's now intangible. And those of us who have been living in the intangible world since 1974 are 100 times more prepared for the value of our world today, which is intangible, not tangible, right? So that woman looked at me, asked me a question, and judged me, right? And I forgive her. She's a muggle, right? Like, what does she understand? Nothing, right? She thinks the world's tangible things are important, right? She's wrong. She's been wrong for 20 years, right? And I pity where she's heading next, right? Because we live in an outrageously complicated world, increasingly, where the intangible is far more valuable than the tangible, and where the world and where the term IRL is swiftly changing, right? And we are prepared for it. We've built identities we've seen the sunset on 30 worlds. That woman has seen the sunset on one world, and that's all she'll ever see the sunset on, right? She has a limit. Her identity is locked, she is locked, and she is going nowhere, right? Because she's clutching to the tangible, when the real value in this world is intangible and has been intangible for millennia. The most valuable things in this world have been intangible for millennia. It's just been more sharply defined in the last 20 years. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I can hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.